Good day, world. This is Rodney Jones here. I'm bringing you my first installment of good things to bring on your trips to Philippines, Thailand, pretty much anywhere. Now, you might think it's a lot of stuff to bring, but it's better to be prepared than to be shit out of luck, so to speak. Okay, the Philippines has pharmacies. You know, they have roses and mercury drug, which are stocked, but I can only speak about like America and its pharmacies where there's a lot of over-the-counter drugs. Well, in the Philippines, it's not like that. You pretty much have to go to the pharmacist itself to get any drugs that you might need. We're even talking about Tylenol or aspirin. And most of the things are generic anyways. But as a foreigner, you do have an advantage over the local Filipinos. Pretty much the Filipinos have to get a prescription from their doctor, even to get something as little as a Tylenol. Like I was saying, I can only speak of the United States. You can pretty much get most of your needs for over the counter for your basic ailments. Anyways, anyone traveling abroad, you know, one of the biggest aspects of life is to get immunizations. One of the biggest things you want to do is make sure that you have all your immunizations from your childhood up into your recent that are up to date. But there is some things that you also do need that are recommended by, you know, in the United States we have what's called the Centers for Disease Control, and they're pretty much connected with the World Health Organization as far as recommended vaccines for diseases that are local to the populations of every country in the world. Now, if it's been a while, one of the good things to do is go to your doctor and have them check out your shot records. And some of the things you want to make sure that are up to date is your typhoid, your hepatitis A, hepatitis B, cholera, rabies, Japanese encephalitis, and influenza. Now, I'm speaking specifically for the Philippines. This is recommended by the World Health Organization and Center for Disease Control in the United States. Now, typhoid, there's in the United States at least, there's a 5-day pill that you could take, or there's a shot. It lasts longer, it depends on. But I'm going to go down the list real quick. Typhoid, it's spread by contaminated food or water. I mean, the sanitation is not the best in the Philippines. So you always want to try to keep it as clean as possible. You know, have you a little alcohol jelly or something to wash your hands out before you eat. You want to be willful minded when it comes to soups and liquids and ice. You kind of want to stay away from that. Next up on the list is we got hepatitis A. Same thing. Most of these diseases are spread by contaminated food or water. Like I said, the standards in these third world countries are not the best. I mean, they fish and then they leave them in the market all day, and you got flies, and you don't know from the time it hits the dock to the time that gets on your table if your fish have gone bad, or your pork or your chicken. We don't have those antibodies anymore, you know, in the Western world. So when you go to these third world countries, they're not present. So you got to be careful. But hepatitis B is another one. That's spread by contaminated body fluids. You know, all you out there looking for sex, or there's not, I don't think, a lot of drug use as far as needles go in that country, but diseases of the sin, so to speak. Now you got to be careful with the, you know, Hep A and Hep B, because those attack your liver. So one aspect of hepatitis A, your liver is self-healing for the most part, unless you're a raging alcoholic or something. So you can come in contact with Hep A, and your body will pretty much heal itself. But it's a good idea to get the vaccines for Hep A, Hep B. The shots usually last a long time. Next is cholera. It's from contaminated food and water as well. Rabies. There's a lot of animals running around. A lot of wild dogs, a lot of cats, just all over the place. Next one is Japanese encephalitis. This is a mosquito-borne disease. There is a vaccination. At least in the United States, it's a two-shot series. You get them a month apart to complete the series. Yeah, there's a lot of mosquitoes. There's a lot of standing water in the Philippines. One thing is they say they don't have yellow fever, which is another one spread by mosquitoes, but you might as well throw that one in the mix if you already have it or you do travel a lot through the Asian countries. And the last one is influenza, and that's spread through coughing and snot and mucus and person-to-person contact. Uh, Big joke, like every flu comes from Asia. Who knows? Anyways, that is some good resources on the CDC website, World Health Organization website. But I say go check your doctor out and make sure your immunizations are. Now, next thing I'm going to be going through is several over-the-counter medicines and items. If you look at the picture, you might think this is a lot. I've included both the pill and the liquid form of many of them. So, it's probably less than a pound if you carry all the pill forms. Well, maybe 2 pounds, but I'll go over some of them. All right, we'll start with the water. You don't have to bring water. You don't bring water because, with the price of baggage, I just brought this up that drink bottled water only. Be very cognizant whenever you're out at restaurants or so. Order bottled water and make sure that the cap seal has not been broken. And as much as possible, try to avoid ice. It's impossible, I mean, because they wash the dishes and everything, but at least for the first trip, because Westerners do not have the bacteria in their gut to deal with all the contamination that they have over there. And if you want to case some Montezuma's revenge and miss out on your vacation, just go ahead, drink the water. Idea what you can take and what different units of issue they come in. And one thing you see, it's right in the center. It's called wet ones, big ones. Now, Philippines, if you've never been there, it's a whole new world in itself. A lot of places, I'm going to compare this to the Western world now. A lot of the public places, they do not have toilet seats on their toilets. It'll just be the porcelain bowl. And some places you'll go to, there'll be a big bucket of water, and that's what you use to flush the toilet with. I mean, it's surreal. But in the case that even the malls, they do not have toilet seats on the toilets. So, and also another thing is they don't have toilet paper. So when you walk into the restroom and you have to go, there might be an attendant there, or there might be a machine on the wall. Make sure you got several 5 peso pieces to try to get some toilet paper if you're lucky enough to have toilet paper. Now the wet ones is good. It's good for general wiping of your hands, and you'll be very appreciative, wiping your butt with one of these things. Yeah, you might think it's kind of weird. Get some shorts on. I mean, they sell them in different sizes, so this is just the big ones that I had. I carry these in my backpack. But you'll be very appreciative not having crap butt walking around because you don't have anything to clean with it. And also, in the Philippines, they got what's called tabo. It's basically like a cup that in a water bucket. You fill up the cup and you wipe yourself with your left hand or whatever. It's kind of weird. I don't know how to do it, so I'll bring my wet ones. You do whatever you want to. I'm sure if I stayed in the Philippines for a long period of time, I'll get into the local culture and start using the towel as well. Anyways, this is just my recommendation for immunizations and over-the-counter drugs. And make sure you bring your prescription drugs. Make sure you bring that from your doctor and you got enough, because like I said, FedEx is really expensive if you want to ship something to the Philippines if you forgot it. And another thing, for goodness sake, leave everything in the original packaging. Bring your pharmaceutical goods in the original package from your pharmacy, from your doctor. A lot of people like carrying this little carrying case. It's Monday through Sunday, and they put the drugs in. Do not do that. You will get arrested for smuggling drugs without a prescription. Do not do that. Um, One thing I do is, people are like concerned about the weight. Overall, this is not really expensive stuff. So uh, just leave your stuff there when you leave. You bring all your pill forms back and the little things. But usually by the time I'm done, the wet ones are finished. You just give away all the condoms. I mean, and it'll reduce your overall weight. Um, okay. Well, I hope you have a great day and a great adventure and a great vacation. This is just a recommendation. So do what you want. This is what I've learned from my past. I'll tell you about the very first trip I ever made to the Philippines. I was staying on Cebu, or actually Mactan Island, and I get in, of course, at 11 o'clock at night. It's really late, so I'm hungry. So I go over, and they had this little Japanese place there. So I went in, and I saw some fish, and I was like, okay, I'll take some fish. And I ate it up. I went back to my hotel. About 4 hours later, I got a case of EAS. That's called the exploding ass syndrome. Every 15, 20 minutes for the next 3 days, everything was expelled. All liquids, all foods. I was probably on the verge of dehydration. So I was like, I know I got to eat and I know I got to drink. So even though I was expelling everything, I still drank. And then within 5, 10 minutes of every time I ate just a little bit, it happened again. So the hotel room I was in, they ran out of toilet paper, and it was hurting anyways. So I was like, screw this. So I took so many showers for the next 4 days after that. My whole vacation was 7 days. Now, I didn't bring any drugs. I had no recommendations. I had no nothing. I didn't know about the pharmacies. I didn't know if they had Pepto Bismol. I didn't know if they had Imodium. I guess I could have got some super strength pharmaceutical grade, you know, anti-diarrheals before I left, but I didn't do this. I just wasn't thinking. I thought, just drinking out of bottled water would be good enough, but it's not.